All right, Sam, let's talk about this panel that took place, this progressive draft pick or something, however you want to call it. I'm joking. I couldn't help myself. We'll get into that. So here's the description that I just took from Katie Halper's page that says best what's going on. Join Marianne Williamson, Katie Halper, Julianna Forlano, Briahna, Krystal on Wednesday for a live stream to support non-corporate backed candidates for Congress. So it's pretty much a non-stop row, one after the other, of candidates, people who are running for Congress, and they're non-corporate backed. And I guess they were all progressive. There wasn't like a libertarian one or a conservative.
That's what they told us.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you said that. So let's get right into it, because some did talk about policy, okay? I mean, there were so many people that anything that we say right now, that you can go find someone who did, because there were like, how many? There was like,
I don't know,
15, 20?
It was so funny, man. It was, as you said, it was like a sports. I don't even follow sports, but I've seen those things that I think it's NBA and American football where they get picked by like, it's so weird. By the way, that whole thing is on itself weird. But it was like, yeah, now it was. I mean, I have a couple of bits I'm gonna go through.
But it's even more like a press conference where players have been bought and purchased and they're being introduced, because okay, these people had already as if been picked. But they were being introduced, but both of them work. But yeah, the reason we said we think they're progressive is that, I mean, they didn't get too much into policy, but at the same time, there were so many of them, and they're all from these different areas. And I guess we all assume that we like their policies. So is that a justification that they very heavily leaned on different aspects of what I believe you call identity politics? Yeah.
Yeah. No, first of all, just a very synopsis of what I personally thought was that it was genuinely all the things that the right wing or sometimes the centrists say about the left was exemplify all the worst things about, like, oh, they are only focused on identity politics, or they don't talk substantively, they focus on personal stories, or they just care about a diversity of people, not ideas. All of it was very much evident. And these are, by the way, I hope people understand, this is coming from a really, I mean, I'm a huge fan of at least two of the people on the panel. I think they do probably the best I don't know about journalistic media work, whatever you want to call it, online or offline out there. So so these people are some, like, I just want
to point out, and I appreciate what they tried to do. But yeah, continue, and I'll say that after.
That was the most, first of all, I would
sorry to cut you off.
It was a bit, for me, watching from left to, like, on my screen, not on the actual panel, but left to right was my feeling from bad to good. It was like the new lady.
You're so right, because Brie and Katie were sitting next to each other.
And Katie was a bit more like, all right, and that would piss me off the worst. In the beginning of the in the panel, and I put a reminder for that goddamn panel, because I knew I was not going to sleep that night. So, I was in the beginning of the panel, Marianne Williamson is like, yeah, we're going to introduce these candidates, but also we have Brie here. Brie was like Brie was the muscle of the, was muscle of the guy. Brie here, and Brie is not happy, guys. Brie is not happy with what's
really, did she say that? You're lying.
No, not exactly. I'm exaggerating. But yeah, Bree's gonna bring the tough questions. A lot of people are not happy with you Democrats, and this got and Bree was like, yeah, fuck you up, man. I'll fuck you. Like, it was like, I don't know, Bree was
third party sign or something. Third party.
Yeah, like, with a baseball bat with a chain over it, Bree going, yeah, what's up, man? What you want? What? Yeah, I expected that, and I was so excited. I was like, yeah, man, Brie and Katie Halper, I know they're great. Marianne Williamson seems like the nicest lady who has ever lived, like, or something. I don't know about the other lady. I'll get into her at a later point. But yeah, but I was so excited. And then what happened? They brought everybody on, and then Brie didn't ask any tough questions. There was no tough.
I mean, and actually, the tough question, I guess the tough question that Marianne would be referring to is really the fact that Brie would say more like third party, why go through the democratic machine, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, yeah. And I think that gets to that's the more substantial criticism that's been made by people. If you go watch it, if you look at the comments, and if you go on the Vanguard and stuff, that is people's thing. They're like, yo, what happened to the third party kind of, you know, discussions, debate angles? There was no way like that. And then if you think about it, so it was, every single one of them were Democratic.
No, but to be fair, they were, every single one were Democratic. But to be fair to the interviewers, at least in one point, I'm sure Marianne Williamson with Nina Turner and Brie and Katie, at least once each of them, I'm pretty sure, with a candidate, they ask why people should not go to a third party and why should they trust Democrats again? Why should they trust you like specific? I'm pretty sure about Nina. I'm pretty sure with Nina Turner, Marianne Williamson asked her that. The answers were awful. The answers were like, you know, I'm gonna bring the voice to the voiceless. I'm gonna bring the same fire that I brought to the local council. That's not a goddamn answer. Yeah. All right. This giving us a promise of like, I'm gonna be the voice because I mean, I'll save my comments on Canada. Yeah, but that was the biggest part of the disappointment. This building up of Brie as this like tough questionnaire there, like on the side in the darkness, like, guys, if you don't cooperate, Brie will fuck you up, and then nothing, and then 2 hours of just everybody just loving each other, and aren't you you're a mother and you're a teacher and you're a black person, and then my second point
we'll have fun with the identity politics. Leave that aside for a split second if you can.
The identity politics bit?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm done.
Oh,
I was gonna go on there. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get into that. So, I mean, I watched it twice. Oh yeah, and I skipped the Nina Turner one because now I'm more interested in hearing the other ones. At least didn't know them. Wanted to hear a bit, so I didn't even hear that. But I think I ended up enjoying it because there were a few of these people that I like. In a different setting, in like this panel sitting next to each other, not on video, brings that different dynamics a little bit. So I ended up enjoying it a bit and appreciating it. And now that I think about it, that's pretty much what The Rising do. So maybe they should not do this again. But this time, it really was just as if, we're showcasing these Democratic candidates. We're just presenting them, which fine, you can do. But maybe if they tweak around with this show a bit and, actually have Brie more critical, bring other, not just one candidate after another, I think it'll be fun, and I guess it'll become The Rising. So
I mean, I personally,
kind of just different casts. More in.
I enjoy very much Katie Halper and Briahna Greyjoy. Marianne Williamson is just, I mean, I've said this, but she's the type of person who's too nice for me. Mm-hmm. I can't tolerate that more. Like that, I was almost dying that night. Like people who are that sweet and that about love and dove and all that shit, I can't. I mean, I feel physically repelled by that time, and I understand that's my problem. It took me many years of psychiatric help, but I do realize that's my
feel like if you were her neighbor, just like Brie is, she'll try to find your girlfriend and help you out. Because Brie said that she's always talking about, relationship issues and stuff with her. So she could also hook you up with
I'm sorry, but you don't need to discuss what we discuss privately now.
No, I'm just saying, you're saying she's a sweet person and stuff. I'm like, yeah no, she seems like the kind of person who'd be like
she's the type of person. Yeah, exactly. She would be the type of person who brings you like the neighbor that says hi to you, like the nice, like, do you need help if you're sick? Yeah. But I cannot watch. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know why. What is wrong with me? It's something probably terrible happened at my childhood. But and then, okay, I want to talk about the other girl now. What the fuck was that? Like, who was she? First of all, where did she come from? And then, what is
from
this?
Act TV?
It was like a fucking. I felt like a deja vu. It was going back to 1990s radio show shock. Like, now we have Shervin Azami, and Shervin Azami, he's Iranian and he's a young man. He's 22 years old. He's coming out now. Shervin, can you tell us why environment is a good idea? Go, Shervin. What is going on? Why
Sam,
are
I
you
told
talking
you
like
this
that?
yesterday. You have to go see on Act TV. She
Oh,
literally has this show, just as you said. That is the exact, it's exactly like you said. It's as if it's from back in the day. And
yeah,
she
yeah, you
interviews
remember?
people. It's exactly that. So you have to go see it.
Yeah.
So
It was very
that is her background.
sportsy.
Yeah.
Like
No, that's
now we are
yeah.
going to see what's fantastic about this young man. Oh, you're fantastic, aren't you? Oh, thank you. It was what is going. It's I mean, if talking of a softball interview, that wasn't even softball. That was just like
Yeah.
I don't netball. I don't know what it's
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. And you said something in the beginning that was interesting, and we can even go to that and
I
identity
always say interesting.
politics, which is that, yeah, a lot of the criticisms that the right make, they were all exemplified in that panel, I guess, like so many typical things of the left. I mean, it
And by the way,
I mean, if
offensive.
that was just like a right wing thing, if that was like the right wing version, you'd be watching, you're like, Jesus Christ, these people conform so much. They all share like the same, they all agree, whatever. They're so like just nice to whatever
No,
their own
even
thing is, and they don't think about it critically, and they just lean on their background
I
and
don't mind
guns
that though.
and that kind of stuff.
Oh no, that I mind that. No, I don't mind the idea that they didn't like. You don't have to always try to build a broad church, or excuse me, you don't
But
have to
they
always.
were building a broad church there, no?
They were trying. I
Yeah.
think. Well, not really. It wasn't. They were all agreeing on most policies and shit.
Oh, okay. That's not definition of broad church. That's true. That's just
Yeah,
like
no, like
that's just
the
yeah.
breaking point. That's just a church. That's a tiny, small church, local parish. That's what it is. Yeah, but no. What was sorry? I mean, I'm not always for building a broad church, but the idea that this was anything but a sort of it was very, as I said, it was like very sports TV interviews. Like they never are antagonistic to anyone.
Yeah, no,
Like
you're spot on there.
it was just like it was like a cheerleading session. It felt like a
100%.
rally session, and it was disappointing. I mean, I was gonna get to my point about identity
Yes,
politics
please,
that I
please,
found
please.
very offensive, frankly.
Please. Then I might
I'm
counter it a little bit with one or two things actually, but yeah,
all
please.
right, guys. I mean, I don't know if anybody has noticed, but we come from Islamic backgrounds. I don't know if, by the way, Kamir, from now on, whenever you introduce me, Sam from Islamic backgrounds and Iranian backgrounds, I like you to point that out. This was, I'm sorry, but this was extremely offensive. I don't know about women, I don't know about the black people, but as somebody from an Islamic background, I found it extremely, they introduced that Libyan guy. Yeah, this is Johnny Walker's, the Libyan guy, and he's from Libyan background and Islamic background. Now tell us how your Libyan background is relative to your actual policy position.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that supposed to mean? Like, does that mean like because anybody comes from an Islamic background? And by the way, Islamic background, Libya, Iran, like one is in North Africa, one is in West Asia. Like it's, sorry, East Asia. East?
No, West Asia.
West Asia. West Asia. So I don't know where my country is, but yeah. So,
you don't know where you are currently.
I don't know what is going on. Yeah. So this idea that you have to leave, like, I think that's why it's, by the way, okay, representation is important. Everybody should get a fair chance, but you already have all these people from all these varied backgrounds leaning in so much into this. And then again, Marianne Williamson seems like the nicest lady out there, but she kept like saying, oh, Brie as a black woman.
Yeah.
Oh, Katie as a Jewish lady. Oh, you as a white,
I mean,
like Protestant.
Okay. Can you stop right there? Because that's perfect for me to kind of come in and play devil's advocate there. So if I could put myself as the panelist, that for sure, if people start talking about my background and stuff, I mean, we'd have to talk back and forth, but maybe they don't mind to be identified that way, to just be referred all the time to the background. And then the politicians who showed up, they probably promote themselves that way. So although we wouldn't like to be talked about that way, I guess the politicians who were there, they wanted to be referenced about their identity, because then they went on and leaned on it even so much more. So maybe for them, that's how they want to be represented. And let me just say one or two more things. Some of it was beyond ridiculous. Because they would say like she's a mother, like pretty much like a
Oh
father,
yeah.
a husband. I'm like, geez, at least skip these ones. I mean, tell me if they're a cat owner, dog owner. That
Human
that
being
conveys,
here.
the
I
human.
promise you, I'm not a Martian.
Yeah.
I can promise. No,
I'm like,
that
okay,
song.
but with the identity,
Do you
and one
remember
more
that
thing
song?
with the
Wait,
identity.
wait.
Okay.
Do you remember that song? Do you remember that song? I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a
No,
tractor, I'm a.
no,
Do you remember that song? I'm
no.
a bitch, I'm a lover, I was just reminded of that the whole time. It was like, I'm a mother, I'm a tractor, I'm a teacher, oh, fuck off, I don't care.
But okay, but exactly. So one of them, right? Some of them, their stories are so. Or there's some people, their stories are so good. What about them? Like for instance, the African American lady, I believe from North Carolina, who was like, yeah, my grandpa, he lived until he was 118. Bless him. I'm like, yo, come on, are you really talking about your grandpa? But then the next sentence, she's like, and his dad had bought the farmland from his that he was a slave
Yeah.
on from his from the slave owner. So then I was thinking, okay, I mean, if you have that kind of story in your back pocket, I guess I can see how you kind of lean on it. But then again, I'm just being extremely, I mean, even that, it
Look,
doesn't mean, but so I'm just
yeah,
trying to justify
yeah,
the identity politics to an extent. Although on a personal level, I 100% agree with what you're saying. And of course, they leaned on it too much, like no policy discussion. And parts of it were absolutely ridiculous, like father, mother, and you're right, they kept
and
on doing
teacher.
it to Briahna also, I think, right? Like, I mean, they kept on, she was like to Briahna, she was like, as a black woman or whatever, right? I mean, because I was skipping at times
I
and
feel,
stuff,
I
but
don't
I
know,
think she
guys,
was
but like I was
saying
always
things.
taught that even if you do like have these type of things that, oh, he's a black guy or he's an Asian dude or whatever, you don't like in a public, like in a party or whatever, you don't go to people and say, oh, you're black. What do you think as a black person? That's very rude.
No,
Or,
I mean,
oh,
that's
you're
for sure.
Islamic background, so you must be expert on Islamic background people. What is your, that is
But in
so
the news
extremely
world,
rude.
they do that though.
It's fucking rude. It's,
Yeah.
I find it, but I would say you said, you pointed out a good thing, and that's why I think I
Oh.
wouldn't trust any of these candidates. No, I'm not. I like three. The math teacher whose favorite number was number 2. I loved her. It was she was so prepared for that question. She was like, my favorite number is 2 because it's the, it's the first prime number, and it's also the, the leading, even though I don't know,
What
but
kind of
it was
question was that? Why did that come up?
Katie asked it, and I'm glad
Oh,
she
okay,
did.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that
That's
makes
funny.
yeah. There was another lady who was saying that, yeah, I don't know, like you should judge me by my actions, and she was very concrete. I liked her. The first guy they brought, the guy with the beard, I think Briahna, he had some, like he talked about, our team did that, our team did that, but most of these candidates are not do not trust them. They are not trustworthy at all. Two things. One, the fact that they leaned into their identity politics. I mean, there was, by the way, did you see the Persian dude?
Yeah. No, I mean,
Yeah,
this
I'm
show
glad.
I mean,
I'm glad the Persian project of taking over LA is finally paying off.
I mean,
We are going public with our takeover of LA. LA is ours now, guys.
Sam, the identity politics part was, I mean, maybe in my head it just became this much. It actually wasn't this much, but it was the most I had ever seen. And I'm wondering, it was
It
just
was a
like,
parody.
if
It
it
was
just
almost like a parody.
compounded each other, like the style of the show, the questions, all of this just made it more and more and more about identity politics. I wonder if maybe some of these candidates wouldn't talk even this much identity politics other places, because everything seemed to lead on it. They would introduce them through their identity. The first or second, they would ask them 2 questions, right? And one of them was pretty much all about their identity. And we couldn't get into policies because of the style of the show, and they're from different areas. Of course, they're all across country.
And half of the questions were like introducing their identity. Like, as an African American, half Jewish single mother, what do you think on this? Like, what is that? Why do you have to give a whole fucking like a identity CV before you ask me a
Yeah.
question about
Yeah.
my opinion about it. By the way, does that mean like the Libyan American guy is better suited on American? Like I find that type of thing so problematic when they focus. And then that radio show host lady kept saying, "Oh my God, what a fantastic roster of the people! I just want to have them all. I want to have them all right now." And you're what?
Yeah.
Why? It was so I wouldn't trust any, and a lot of them because they lean. I mean, the Persian guy. I'm gonna make fun of him because it's fair game, I feel. But yeah, it was. I mean, yes. Suddenly he went to this as a son of an immigrant in Italy first, and now in America. And by the way, I need to look into him because most of Iranians who fled religious prosecutions are super rich type. Like they weren't, I mean, I like Iranian immigrants that came out of Iran are like Korean immigrants that came out of like 1950s, 60s to America. For the longest time, Iranians were the richest per capita minority in America because they were the rich people. So I was a bit like that type of leaning in is, in my view, you shouldn't trust anybody who leans into. They talked about, growing up, I would see my father work very hard on the farm, and I would think to myself, why, father, why? The sweat on your brows, and then it made me want to work for my community. All of this is all Aaron Sorkin, early 1990s Hollywood TV movie writing, right? I've heard this before. This is all bullshit. I don't trust any of you. I don't trust anybody who talks about politics like that. And not necessarily because, by the way, they're even lying, because they're the type of naive idiot who go into the office with some dreams and then they're fucking pummeled to nothing by people like Nancy Pelosi because well, I can't do anything. I try to build consensus, but fuck off. And yeah, I just hate anybody, in my view, anybody who leans into identity politics and talks about politics in terms of personal experiences and seeing my sister carrying water across the desert. I wondered, why don't we have trains for the desert?
It was identity politics on steroids. And you're right, it makes people less trustworthy even, although, some did seem more trustworthy. One of them had been a 3-time member of Senate for her own state, not like,
I think that's the lady
in Washington. So she had some experience. Other ones didn't also have any experience. But yeah, the identity politics thing is just, it was insane. And I blame some of it, honestly, on the setup of the show, even because
the time frame.
Just because not only did the politicians talk about identity politics, but they also, the panel and all the questions were about identity politics. So that's why I'm saying it even compounded the identity politics.
They all should have been asked one question. Okay, how should we trust that you would follow up with your promises through the election, considering that there is no like a lot of other examples, and they would and how would you get your policies done? Would you go the radical route or would you try to do coalition building? It's not that difficult. And I'm gonna add, by the way, the thing that I think undermined all the other candidates, at least for me, was the presence of Nina Turner. Presence of Nina Turner for me just okay, fuck that, they are all liars. I that was my immediate
why are you
reaction.
again so harsh towards Nina Turner? Just
because somebody who not even elected during a Senate, so a state level, not federal level, a Senate election, she starts already making her vocabulary and her rhetoric milder to appeal to certain people. I think you if they're that easy. And again, Nina Turner, kind of like AOC. I never liked AOC the same way. They talk too much about identity, in my view. They talk too much about the stuff that makes them but somebody who already in a campaign, not elected, started to compromise. I mean, come on. I'm supposed to trust her.
Do you think?
And I don't understand.
Do you think identity politics is good for votes, though?
No.
Not at all. Do you think with none of those voters, like any kind of the voters? And I mean, and they're all
What's
running in the
identity
same
politics? I think
state.
America,
So yeah,
if you go nationalistic identity politics, it
yeah, I
always
was
works with
gonna
every
say, yeah,
ethnicity. But when you go very specific, I think, especially for example, with maybe the Black experience in America is very unique. But for example, Latinos, groups that are sort of not in clear boundaries of
yeah,
white and Black race type thing. Yeah, they increasingly are voting
yeah,
Republican or that type of thing. So no, I don't really. I think
yeah,
the types of identity politics works, but not the thing they were
yeah.
doing. And I just want to point out another thing. What the fuck with the Nina interview? Marianne Williamson started with, "Oh, we know what you've been going through, and we know after that election that you went through hell. It was great." What did she go through exactly? I'm sorry.
TYT.
No, that
That's
was
how
before.
no, after she lost, she joined TYT.
No, I know, but she was talking about the election campaign she lost.
Yeah,
It was so unfair.
I
The
know.
way they treated you, what they ran advertisement against there. Have you lived in the goddamn world? Have you ever lived outside of your fucking comfort? Oh, Nina, oh my God, you're suffered. And Nina was like, yeah, I know, but I decided to get back up and fight. You're doing the easiest job in the world. Well, I don't know. My job is probably easiest talking
Yeah,
shit.
that's for
But
sure.
yeah, fair enough. But that's like talking shit in hope of getting something done, right? So, and then guys, support Nina. She went through it. I mean, do you not see yourself in the grand scheme of things? Do you not see how privileged you are? Like, what did she go through? Like, couple of attacks on TV against her. Oh, I'm so.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my
compared,
God.
like, it was during that time, like, she hasn't been through, like a national level smear like Joe Rogan or something like that. And even that, exactly. I mean, yeah, during the campaign, they fought back against her
I
and they
know.
ran.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
And what do you, by the way, do when people go into politics? What do you expect? Do you expect a debate of ideas and policies? This is goddamn fucking politics.
Yeah,
You want to debate ideas? Go to a university. Fuck off. Like I don't
yeah,
get these people. Like and they treat each other with such kid gloves. Like would you? Oh, Nina was
yeah.
suffered
I mean, I
so
guess
much
that's
in
Marianne's style, though. I
advertisements.
guess it just also all came from there because,
It
we're
wasn't
gonna
just her.
talk, huh? But it was
It
her.
wasn't
No, it
even.
was her thing, I
Yeah, it
think.
was.
Because,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about Briahna in the next story, and she's talking with two of her friends there, pretty much, and she tells both of them, kind of, I don't agree with this. What are you even talking about? This not what I'm generalizing. I just mean that's not Brianna's style.
I
But
agree.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it all
yeah.
compounded to make this weird show, which I think
And
but I like I said, I appreciate the effort to do something different. And they tried this, and they should just maybe try again, but definitely a different format and different angles and different questions and
just
different
different questions even. Yeah.
people. And change it. But like I mentioned, and then let's wrap this up because I mentioned 10 times. But yeah, that argument that where were the third party candidates, and this was just all Democrats and all changing from inside. I don't know if they thought of that before that they made the show. I guess they had done, because
I mean,
that
that
is a big
feels to me unfair.
conversation. No, but
I think
that's a
that's
big
unfair
conversation
criticism.
nowadays.
No, okay, yeah, but I feel like all the people there had at least three of them that I know are always going on about third parties. I felt this was
Yeah,
like
but
I felt this was an event for Democratic. Like
Democratic, yeah,
I mean, it was
yeah,
advertised as such, so I wasn't.
yeah,
That was
again.
not a surprise criticism. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like the briefing that they promised you tough questions and then nothing. It
Yeah, I
was. I
guess to an
wasn't.
extent, but even
So,
just thinking that,
but
exactly,
yeah,
just
I know what
going
you
on a
mean. Yeah.
democratic thing, even if that's what they agreed from the get-go, which you're right, they promoted it that way, so they must have thought of that.
But
It
I want. Yeah, I
wasn't the
know what
best
you
idea,
mean.
and maybe that would have brought about
No, you know what
more.
I do think would have helped? Briahna at one point mentions one of the candidates had a conversation with her outside of her show, telling her how hard it is to run as a third party candidate. And she says that and says, I know a lot of people are curious about that, and it's good to talk about that. And then they just move on. They don't talk about it. Like, tell us, please, somebody tell us about this. Why is it
Yeah.
difficult to run as a third party candidate? So yeah, that would have been nice. I just want to point out something, by the way. You said, because you said that, and that's true. I get triggered whenever I see Nina Turner and stuff. But my question would, like, you ask me why do you like don't like her as a candidate, by the way. As a person, I'm sure
Yeah,
she's
of
a
course.
lovely human being. As a candidate, they're like, why don't you like it? Why do they like her so much? I don't understand that. What has she done? What is her great, like, they
And
talk about Nina Turner as if as if she's like Jeremy Corbyn, basically. She's been 32 years in the parliament, grinding through. She's been a
or
local
Bernie.
yeah, or Bernie, yeah, like 70 years of like, oh, like I was next to Martin Luther King and, you know,
Yeah,
Gandhi
I mean,
and
listen, her
Mother
politics,
Teresa.
her
No, no,
politics. I
I
would assume it comes from here. Her politics are
how do we know that? Because
leftist
of some
because of
speeches?
what she says. Yeah, and
No.
for some reason, people think that she's the best hope for a progressive candidate, I guess, to get in Senate and become president. I believe there is just this kind of belief, it seems, behind her by some
I
people.
don't,
I think that's
I'm,
where it comes from. They
yeah,
think she's the one.
I don't know.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
you're
I
right.
know she was
Why?
a state senator
Yeah.
at some point, but I really don't
Yeah.
understand what is her great, what is this thing that we kept, Nina, save us. Oh, I'm sorry, but I don't see and again,
You're saying the
unless,
track record isn't there to back up
yeah,
such
exactly.
enthusiasm for her. I mean, I'm not an
Yeah,
expert on her
exactly.
biography. Maybe we're missing
Me
some
too.
stuff,
I
but
looked at some of her stuff. I really don't know what has she done at the state council thing, but state senate thing. I don't know. And by the way, I mean, these candidates, I mean, the first guy maybe, but unless you are willing to call the people on the squad corrupt, like AOC, like not all of them. Ilhan Omar, I feel, is far better candidate. But unless you're willing to say AOC is corrupt, at least during your campaign, then you get to the goddamn Congress, then you sell out. But
yeah,
at least during the campaign, take a goddamn radical position. When
yeah.
you're even campaigning, like Nina Turner and most of these people, you're still this wishy-washy and trying to go the middle
Yeah.
ground.
And let's see what happens this time. She's decided to run again very quickly right after that. So let's see.
I think she's gonna get crushed probably though, because I think the Chantel Brown, she's a
she
goddamn
should have
animal,
taken
man.
a minute. Yeah, I'm not too sure, but what the hell do I know?
And
Yeah.
she's trying to outflank her from the left and the right. She's that Chantel
Which is
Brown,
so
I don't know
easy.
if,
Which is so easy
so
because when you're
easy, so easy.
campaigning, you can say whatever the hell you want.
Gavin Newsom supported Medicare for all in California, and now he's saying he's not going to sign. I don't
Like
understand.
Medicare for all is always the biggest conversation during campaigns, but like, you know, people opposing it, not opposing it, supporting it, but it's actually the furthest thing almost. Like once they're in about things that they talk about. So when you're campaigning, you can say whatever the hell you want. So yeah, she can outflank Nina Turner easily from left, right, up, down.
No, that up, down, yeah. No, that's the thing, and it's just so disappointing that on the radical left or whatever they're called, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a leftist anymore. Anyway, I'm going through an existential thing right now. But on the radical left, when they are talking to, I think the view on Katie Halper video was 10,000. They are taking to 10,000 people that are already pretty much aligned with all of your views. And you're still afraid to go radical. You're still afraid to say anything about like, no, we have, you know what I mean? Like,
listen,
pathetic.
you're making pathetic. You make some good points sometimes. I must give it to you.
This is difficult, but I have to admit.
No, I totally agree.
On a rare occasion, Sam could be correct.
And no, honestly, and I try to be as fair and play devil's advocate as much as possible for this. And I would say that I think they shouldn't give this up, but definitely play around with it, and then maybe we'll get more views. Not that it's gonna, add up to anything. It could become a better thing. This was just just like our show. It needed some work.
And it still does.
We'll always.
By the way, I want.
Any final thoughts, still, Sam? We should keep this party rolling.
I just think, they slightly better questions, less sort of a goody feely auntie house Christmas time feel for the gathering, less of a talk show. Oh, now look at this fantastic pick for our draft. This is a politician coming from the League 2 of LA.
Man, I know where you got that voice from. I just realized you got it from Space Jam, I think, when they introduced the players for the basketball game. That's the
Because I
exact
don't watch
question.
sports, so that's the only place
From the original Space Jam. The second
Original
one I
Space
couldn't.
Jam.
Yeah.
Watch the second one. It's not
No,
as bad as people say. It's funny.
I
It's
watched
fun.
15 minutes, but I'm also not 5 anymore. So there's also
I know.
there's also
I am inside still 5. And I must say though, even I am 5, but LeBron James is probably the worst actor that has ever, like Michael Jordan was bad, but LeBron James is a whole different level of bad. It's just like he can't act to save his life. It's like it's so bad. It's so bad.
But yeah, no, you summarized it nicely, I think, at the end. So
yeah, and again, as everybody knows, we are a huge fan of at least 2 and somewhat fan of at least 1. And I don't know about the radio lady, but whatever. Well, yeah, so it's coming from a good place.